We are True Crime Online. The Crumbleys, parents on trial. In this video we are discussing the cases of Jennifer and James Crumbley, the parents of Ethan Crumbley, and their roles in their son's criminal act. Before the incident. On November 26, 2021, James Crumbley brought a 9mm Sig Sauer. His son Ethan, 15 at the time, posts a photo on Instagram of himself holding the semi-automatic, writing, "Just got my new beauty today. Sig Sauer 9mm. Any questions I will answer." He includes an emoji of a smiling face with heart eyes. On November 27, 2021, Jennifer Crumbley and Ethan take turns shooting it at a range. She writes on social media that it is a mum and son day testing out his new Christmas present. November 29, 2021, a teacher sees Ethan searching online for ammunition with his cell phone during class and the teacher reports it. Ethan tells school staff that he and his mother recently went to a range and that shooting sports are a family hobby. School personnel call his mother to notify her. While exchanging text messages with her son, she writes, quote, "Lol. I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught." End quote. In two videos on Ethan Crumbley's phone that were recorded that night, he talked about taking the weapon to the high school and killing students. Tuesday the 30th of November 2021. A teacher found a drawing on Ethan's desk that essentially depicted a shooting. It alarmed her to the point that she took a picture of it on her cell phone. The illustration showed a semi-automatic weapon pointing at the words, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," and it included a drawing of a bullet with the words, "Blood everywhere," written above it. The words, "My life is useless," and "The world is dead," were also written on the drawing. Between the drawing of the weapon and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and bleeding. Below that figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. The distressing picture led school officials to hold a meeting with Ethan and his parents, who were instructed to help provide counseling for their son within 48 hours. During that meeting, Ethan Crumbley had the firearm in his backpack, which was not searched. The parents resisted the idea of taking their son out of school, and he was allowed to return to the classroom. After Ethan Crumbley was allowed to return to class, surveillance video from the school's cameras showed what happened next. Just before 12:51 p.m., Crumbley could be seen with a backpack, then a minute or two later he exited the bathroom without the backpack, but with the firearm in his hand. Crumbley then allegedly began to methodically and deliberately walk the hallways and aim at students and fire the weapon. When students began to run away, the accused allegedly continued to go down the hallway at a methodical pace and shot inside classrooms and at students who hadn't escaped. This continued for another 4 or 5 minutes. When deputies arrived, he set down the weapon and surrendered. He ended up killing 4 students. 7 others were injured, including a teacher. On December 1, 2021, Ethan Crumbley is charged as an adult with murder and terrorism. The 4 students killed were Madison Baldwin, 17, Tate Meyer, 16, Hannah Street Juliana, 14, and Justin Schilling, 17. On December 3, 2021, James and Jennifer Crumbley are charged with involuntary manslaughter. Authorities cannot find them and a search is launched. On December 4, 2021, a judge imposes a combined $1 million bond for the parents. Hours afterward, the authorities found James and Jennifer Crumbley inside an art studio in an industrial building in Detroit. Officials accused the parents of fleeing after it was announced that charges were going to be issued against them. Their attorneys claimed James and Jennifer Crumbley didn't intend to flee. On October 24, 2022, Ethan Crumbley, 16 at the time, pleads guilty to terrorism and first-degree murder. On December 9, 2023, a judge sentences Ethan Crumbley, now 17, to life in prison without parole after listening to hours of anguish from parents and wounded survivors. The parents' case. On June 22, 2022, the judge ruled that James and Jennifer Crumbley would face involuntary manslaughter charges despite their attempts to quash them. On October 3, 2022, it was determined that James and Jennifer Crumbley would stand trial after the Michigan Supreme Court denied an appeal on behalf of the parents to have their case tossed. Then on November 13, 2023, James and Jennifer Crumbley were granted separate trials after their attorneys claimed it was necessary to avoid prejudice and promote fairness. On January 23, 2024, Jennifer Crumbley stands trial on involuntary manslaughter charges in an unusual move to pin criminal responsibility on the parents for the deaths. And on March 5, 2024, the trial of James Crumbley begins. The prosecution argued that Jennifer and James Crumbley were criminally negligent by failing to intervene despite knowing their son had access to a firearm and had exhibited troubling behavior that signaled potential violence. They were charged with involuntary manslaughter for allegedly failing to secure the firearm Ethan used and ignoring signs of his instability. The prosecution also focused on all the relevant information that Jennifer Crumbley had that school officials weren't aware of during their meeting with the counselor. That includes his disturbing texts, and them giving him medication to calm him down. Speaking of Jennifer Crumbley, prosecutor Karen McDonald told the jury, Jennifer knew her son had been gifted a gun. She could have locked up the gun. She could have taken him home. She could have taken him to work. He could have gone with Dad, as he was door dashing. She could have embraced her son. McDonald pointed to other evidence of reasonable foreseeability because of the drawings Ethan Crumbley had done of the firearm with the disturbing phrases written on them and with a drawn person that had blood all over them. Which was enough of a concern that the school counselor had summoned the parents to the high school to discuss the school's concerns. It was noted that the parents did not show care to their son when they arrived at the school. The counselor told the court that the couple didn't greet, hug or touch their son when they arrived. Jennifer and James Crumbley were shown the note and advised that the counselor was concerned for Ethan's well-being. He testified that he didn't recall Jennifer speaking to her son during the estimated 15-minute meeting and that James, the dad, looked over the drawing with Ethan and told him, "You have people you can talk to." The counselor testified that he told the couple Ethan needed mental health support as soon as possible, today if possible. But he noted that Jennifer said she had to return to work that day and it wouldn't be possible within that time frame. The counselor testified he was taken aback by that remark. He added that he then told the parents he wanted Ethan receiving mental health support within 48 hours, and that he'd be following up that they had done this. As for the defense's closing argument, Jennifer Crumbley's lawyer focused on the prosecution's need to prove her guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Her lawyer says the prosecution didn't paint a complete story, saying there is doubt in the case presented. The defense went on to say that she's not a perfect lawyer and that Crumbley isn't a perfect mum either, arguing that although she's not perfect, she's not guilty and that she didn't know her son would shoot up his school. The defense stated that Jennifer Crumbley kept saying over and over again that she wished there had been signs, and that he was a normal kid. In closing arguments of James Crumbley's manslaughter trial, prosecutors said he was responsible for his son's mass shooting at a Michigan high school because he was grossly negligent, while the defense said the prosecution's case lacked evidence. Prosecuting attorney Karen McDonald said, James Crumbley bought a firearm for his son, then failed to properly secure it, and he ignored his son's spiraling mental health and did not take reasonable care to prevent foreseeable danger. James Crumbley is not on trial for what his son did, she said. James Crumbley is on trial for what he did and what he didn't do. In response, defense attorney Marielle Lehman said the prosecution's case was based on assumptions and hindsight and asserted James Crumbley simply didn't know about his son's issues or plans. The major difference in the trials was Jennifer Crumbley's decision to testify in her own defense, while James Crumbley did not. On the stand, Jennifer Crumbley pushed blame onto her son, her husband and the school, and she expressed no regret for her actions. She testified, "I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have." James Crumbley, meanwhile, declined to testify. He said in court, "It is my decision to remain silent." The two decisions were a reflection of their broader legal defense strategies. The verdict. On February 6, 2024, jurors find Jennifer Crumbley guilty of 4 involuntary manslaughter charges, the first time a parent has been prosecuted and found guilty in a mass school shooting committed by their child. On March 14, 2024, James Crumbley is found guilty of 4 involuntary manslaughter charges. The jury ultimately found both parents guilty of all 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. The decision was widely discussed and debated, with many agreeing that the verdict reflected accountability for their parental responsibility, along with their lack of firearm safety and recognizing warning signs of potential violence by their son. And some disagreeing, stating that a key issue in the parents' case is reasonable foreseeability, an element that must be proven by the prosecution. The defense said this is a hurdle the prosecution couldn't clear, arguing there is no evidence that the Crumbleys could have reasonably foreseen that their son would commit this heinous act. The Crumbleys are the first parents to be held criminally responsible for their role in a mass shooting committed by their child. Should the parents have been charged? Did the jury get it right? Let us know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching. See you next time for more true crime online.